In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I bear witness there is no God but God, and God is the only one who has the right to be worshipped. I also bear witness that Prophet Moses, Prophet Jesus, and Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon them, are the messengers of God, and I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected Satan. So greetings of peace, and thanks for tuning in. May the peace and blessings of Allah be with you. So if you've been watching my videos, you should know that on this channel we prepare for the coming of Imam Mahdi as well as the second coming of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon them, also known as the Mashiachs. So in this video we're going to be focusing on the law of cause and effect, very important for us to understand so we can make proper decisions in our life to gain better rewards, not only in this world, but more importantly the hereafter, which is our eternal abode. This world is for a limited time, but the hereafter is our eternal time. So very important that we bank in our rewards, and we know the best and most skillful ways to accomplish our actions is understanding the laws of cause and effect. So I've got a bunch of Quran verses here, which will be in the description box below, to help us understand on a more broadly understanding of the law of cause and effect. So the reason why it's important for us to understand, as I said, is for us to make better choices and have greater rewards. As we know, Imam Mahdi, he's known as a rightly guided one, and being rightly guided will give him success and help establish God's laws and commandments on this earth. So for us to prepare, we should also be rightly guided and understand the laws of cause and effect on a greater level. So I'm just going to read off headings and Quran verses. I'm not going to name the number and verse, the chapter and verse, just to make things go a little bit more smoothly. So whoever commits a deliberate sin commits it only to himself, and whoever commits a sin deliberately commits it only against himself. Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Sins committed deliberately shall be repaid accordingly to the deeds committed. Refrain from sin in form and in spirit both. Verily, those who commit sins deliberately shall be repaid accordingly to the deeds committed by them. Allah will not be pleased with a disobedient people. They will swear to you that you may be pleased with them, but even if you are pleased with them, they should know that Allah will not be pleased with a disobedient people. Allah does not change the condition of a people until they first change their ways and minds. He, the messenger, has companies of angels successively ranged before him and behind him. They guard him by the command of Allah. Verily, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they first change their ways and their minds. When Allah decides upon punishing a people, there is no averting it. At the time, they have no helping friend apart from Him. Allah leaves in error who He wishes so, and guides whom He wishes to be guided. Had Allah enforced His will, He would surely have made you all one nation, following one and the same faith. But He leaves in error him who wishes to remain so, and guides him who wishes to be guided. And you shall surely be called upon to account for your deeds and conduct. The rewards of good deeds and righteousness shall not be lost. But those who believe and do deeds of righteousness should know that we surely do not suffer the reward of those who do good deeds to be lost. It is these for whom there awaits gardens of eternity served with running streams, to keep them green and flourishing. There they shall be adorned with bracelets of gold and wear green robes of fine silk and rich brocade. They will be reclining in these gardens upon raised couches. How excellent the reward and how beautiful the resting place. Allah punishes hypocrites and polytheists and turns to believers with grace and mercy. Verily, we presented the trust, our junctions and laws, to the heavens and the earth, and the mountains, and they refused to prove false to it. and they were struck in awe of it. On the other hand, a human being has proved false to it by betraying the trust and violating the divine laws and commandments, for he could be unjust and is forgetful. With the result that Allah will punish the hypocritical men and the hypocritical women, and the polytheistic men and the polytheistic women who prove false to the trust, whereas he turns with grace and mercy to the believing men and to the believing women. Indeed, Allah is great protector, ever merciful. So Allah recompenses the ungrateful. There was indeed a great sin for Sheba in their homeland. They had 2 gardens, one on the right and one on the left. And we had said to them, eat of the provisions and enjoy the gifts of your Lord and render him thanks. Yours is a happy and beautiful land, and Lord a great protector. But they turned away. Thereupon we sent against them a devastating flood, and we replaced their 2 excellent gardens bearing bitter fruit and containing tamarisk and a few nettle shrubs here and there. That is how we recompense them because of their ingratitude. It is only the ungrateful whom we recompense in the like manner. Not accountable for other people's sins. Say, you will not be called upon to account for our sins, nor shall we be called upon to account for your doings. And no soul that bears a burden can bear the burden of the sins of another. The scriptures say that no soul that bears a burden can bear the burden of another soul, and that a human being will have to his account what he strives for, and that his strivings shall necessarily be seen and evaluated. Then will he be recompensed fully and fairly. Evil scheming recoils on none but its authors, and make them behave arrogantly on the earth and devise evil schemes, yet evil scheming recoils on none but its authors. They are then only waiting that we should follow the same practice which we did in dealing with the people of old, and you will find no change in that law of Allah, nor will you ever find the law of Allah shifting from its course. Ranks and positions according to their deeds. Can he who is obedient and prays to Allah devoutly in the hours of the night, now falling prostrate, now standing upright in prayer, taking precautions against the grave sequel of the hereafter and hopes for mercy of his Lord, be treated like him who is disobedient? Say, are those who know their obligations equal to those who know them not? Only those endowed with pure understanding do take heed. And all shall have positions and grades with their Lord, according to their worth of their deeds. And it shall be so that he may repay them fully for their deeds, and that they may not be treated unjustly. There is good reward for those who do good in this world. Say, O my servants who believe, take your Lord as a shield. There is a good reward for those who do good in this life of this world. And if you are persecuted for your faith, know that the earth of Allah is vast and spacious enough to provide you shelter. Certainly the patiently persevering and steadfast will be given their reward beyond measure. Every soul shall be repaid in full for its deeds, and every soul shall be repaid in full for its deeds, for he, the Almighty Lord, is well aware of what they do. The harvest of this world and the hereafter. For he who seeks the harvest, the reward of the hereafter, we shall add to his harvest. But he who seeks the harvest of this world, we shall give him a portion of it, and he shall have no share whatsoever in the hereafter. Whatever calamity befalls you is of your own making. And whatever calamity befalls you is of your own making. And yet he goes on forgiving a great many of your sins out of his mercy. Those who commit evil deeds and those who commit good deeds will not be treated alike. Do those who commit evil deeds think that we will treat them like those who believe and accordingly do deeds of righteousness, so that their lives and deaths be alike? How ill they judge! Allah has created the heavens and the earth with an eternal purpose, to ensure that every soul be recompensed accordingly to his deeds, and no one be done injustice to. Allah grants peace and tranquility to those who closely observe the code of self-restraint. These events belong to a time when those who disbelieve nurtured in their hearts prideful indignation and cant, the indignation and cant of the days of ignorance, and Allah granted Shekinah, peace and tranquility from Himself to His Messenger and the believers, and made them observe closely and firmly the code of self-restraint, the code they were best entitled to receive, and were also really worthy of it. Allah has full knowledge of everything. Those who guard against evil and were dutiful to God will be in gardens of bliss. Verily, those who guard against evil will be in gardens and in states of bliss. That is why those who became secure against evil and were dutiful to God shall be amidst gardens and bounties, occupying positions of honor, of excellence, and with the omnipotent sovereign. But those who believe and do deeds of righteousness shall have gardens served with running streams to keep them green and flourishing. This indeed is a great achievement. The hereafter promises both punishment and pleasure depending on deeds. Know that the life of this world is but a sport, wanton, an empty show, a source of boasting among yourselves, and an emulous quest for more riches and children. It is like the rain, the vegetation produced whereby pleases the cultivators. Then the vegetation blooms and flourishes so that you can see it turn yellow on ripening. Then there comes a time when it becomes worthless chaff, but the hereafter promises both a severe punishment for the wicked, and for the righteous there is protection from Allah and His pleasure. The life of this world is nothing but a temporary enjoyment of delusive things. Allah entirely bestows grace and bounty upon whomsoever strives for it. You will be so treated lest the people of the Scripture should think that they, the Muslims, have no control over the attainment of the grace and bounty of Allah, and so that they should know that grace and bounty is entirely in the hands of Allah. He bestows it upon such as wishes to be granted, and strives for it. And Allah is the Lord of immense grace and bounty. Those who oppose Allah and His Messenger shall be laid low and humbled. Surely those who oppose Allah and His Messenger shall be laid low and humbled as those opponents of truth who before them were laid low and humbled. And we have already revealed their ordinances as to how to uplift the status of women, and the deniers of these ordinances shall receive a humiliating punishment. Believers in Allah suiting its requirements will be rewarded with paradise, and the disbelievers who cried lies to His messages will be the inmates of the fire on the day of judgment. Beware of the day when He shall gather you together for the day of gathering. That will be the day of the manifestation of losses. Those who believe in Allah and act to suit the requirement of it, the true faith, will be acquitted of their evil deeds. He will admit them to gardens served with running streams. They will abide therein forever and ever. That is the grand achievement. But those who disbelieved and cried lies to our messages, these are the inmates of the fire. They will abide therein for a long time. What an evil resort it is! The virtuous shall invariably be in a state of bliss, but the wicked shall of course be in the flaming fire. They will enter therein on the day of requital, and they shall not at all be able to keep themselves away from it by escaping from it. Allah created life and death to reward those whom excel in good deeds. It is He who has created death and life so that He may reward you, after trying you as to which of you excels in doing good deeds. He is the Almighty, the Great Protector. Allah will not treat those who submit to His will as He treated those who sever their connection with Him. There are indeed gardens of bliss with their Lord for those dutiful who carefully guard against evil. Are we to treat those who submit to our will as we treat those who sever their connections with us? What is wrong with you? How ill you judge. Those who refuse to prostrate themselves before God in this life will not be able to do so on the day of judgment. On the day of judgment, when there is severe affliction and the truth is laid bare, and they will be called upon to prostrate themselves, but they will not be able to do so. Their looks will be downcast, and they will be overwhelmed with disgrace before this state of theirs. They had been called upon to prostrate themselves before God while they were still safe and sound, but they had refused. Therefore leave me alone to deal with those who deny this revelation. We shall overtake them, leading them to their ruin step by step in a manner they do not know. Yet I shall give them respite to mend their ways. Verily my plan is invincible and firm. Those who guarded against evil and were dutiful to God shall be in comforts in the hereafter. As for those who guarded against evil and were dutiful to God and the people, they shall indeed on that day live amidst of comforts and in places with springs. Those who administer their affairs in an excellent manner shall reap their fruit. I call to witness those groups of beings who perform their duties towards their Lord and the people and themselves with intense zeal and to the best of their capacity, and those who exert themselves vigorously, and those who steer their course swiftly and skillfully. Then those who, going foremost, greatly excel all others and attain the topmost positions. Then those who administer the affairs in an excellent manner shall reap the fruit of their striving. Greedy people will be disciplined. Moreover, a human being is such that when his Lord disciplines him by prosperity and thus honors him and bestows favors on him, he says, "My Lord has honored me." And when he disciplines him with affliction and thus straightens for him the means of his subsistence, he says, "My Lord has for no reason disgraced me." Nay, what you think is wrong. By the reason for this degradation is that for your part, do not honor the orphan, and you do not urge one another to feed the poor, and you devour the heritage of others hopefully and indiscriminately, and you are exceedingly fond of wealth. Those who purify their souls will succeed, and those who commit it shall be ruined. Those who corrupts it shall be ruined. And the human soul, and that mighty Lord who made it perfect, then revealed to it the soul the ways of its evil and its righteousness. All these are cited to witness that one who purifies it, his soul, certainly succeeds, and indeed is ruined who corrupts it. Allah degrades him to the lowest of the low if he does evil deeds. Then according to our law of cause and consequence, we degrade him to the lowest of the low if he does evil deeds. You shall come to know in time the consequences of misusing your worldly life. O people, your vying with one another to excel in multiplying worldly possessions diverts you from God and true values of life. Until on your death you embrace the grave. Nay, you should never hanker after worldly gains, power, and positions. You shall come to know in time that you have been chasing a shadow. Nay, again, we repeat, never should you misuse your life of probation. You shall come to know the consequences of it in time. No, never, if you only knew the consequences thereof with sure and certain knowledge. You will certainly see the very hellfire in this present life by seeing the sad fate of the wicked. Again, you shall most certainly see it in the hereafter with the eye of certainty. And then on that day of reckoning you shall be called to account for the favors bestowed upon you. The enemies of Prophet Muhammad are cut off entirely. Surely it is your enemies who is cut off entirely from all good and prosperity and is deprived of spiritual issues. For you is your recompense, and for me is my recompense. Say plainly to those present and who are not, O you disbelievers, I will not at all worship those false deities which you worship, nor are you worshippers of him who I worship. Neither have I ever been a worshipper of those false ancestral customs, superstitions, and deities which you worship, nor are you worshippers on the lines which I worship. For you is your recompense, and for me is my recompense. So, that was a bunch of Quran verses of varying laws of cause and effect within the Quran. Very important for us to internalize this and embody these divine laws and commandments, so we can evolve more spiritually, grow closer to the unique creator of all that exists, and help establish God's laws and commandments on this earth, inshallah, and help also prepare for the coming of Imam Mahdi, as well as the second coming of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon them, also known as the Mashiachs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you take Allah as your shield, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be with you. Take care. Peace. Thank you.